The Camino de Santiago, a pilgrimage path, a journey of faith. But for some, a one-way ticket to oblivion. More than 50 souls have vanished from this ancient route in the last 30 years, swallowed whole, leaving behind only whispers and questions that linger like ghosts. Their stories echo through the ages, carried by the wind that sweeps across the Pyrenees and down into the valleys of Galicia. Were they victims of earthly crimes? Or did something more sinister, something beyond our understanding, drag them into the shadows? We begin with a simple object imbued with both hope and despair. A backpack abandoned at the edge of the unknown. Its owner, gone. Their journey, cut short. Their fate, a mystery etched into the very stones of the Camino. The year was 1998. A young man named David, filled with a spirit of adventure, embarked on his own pilgrimage. He was searching for comfort, maybe, or a connection with something bigger than himself. He found only silence. Days turned into weeks, his last known location, a small village on the outskirts. Then, nothing. No postcards, no calls. Just an unsettling silence that stretched on until hope began to fade.
Search parties walked the trail, their calls echoing through the ancient woods. They found my belongings scattered near an overgrown path leading to a forgotten place. A place steeped in whispers of the past, where the veil between our world and the next seemed as thin as a spider's web.
An ancient Celtic altar, its roughly hewn stones half buried in the earth, stood sentinel in a small clearing. A place where, legend has it, sacrifices were made. A place where the energy of the earth pulsed with an unsettling power. Was it here where David disappeared? Or did he simply lose his way, succumbing to the elements in some remote corner of the Camino? The answers, like shadows, danced just out of reach.
Local villagers whispered stories of strange lights seen near the altar, of figures flickering at the edge of vision. Legends, passed down through generations, spoke of spirits that wandered the Camino, lost souls seeking solace or perhaps revenge.
These stories, dismissed by some as mere superstition, took on a chilling significance in light of David's disappearance. Could there be some truth to the whispers? Could the Camino itself hold the key to unraveling the secrets of his fate?
David's backpack lay open. Clothes scattered about, unused bandages, a half-written postcard home. Everything ordinary, everything echoing with the sudden absence of its owner. Near a weathered Celtic cross, investigators made their most chilling discovery. David's diary. Its pages, filled with his hopes for the journey, his reflections on solitude and spirituality, ended abruptly. The last entry, scribbled with a hand shaky from cold or fear, spoke of a presence he felt on the path. A presence watching him from the woods. A disturbing detail sent chills down the spines of even the most hardened officers. A drawing, crude but unmistakable, depicted a hooded figure. Its face was obscured by shadow, but two eyes, shining intensely, stared from the page. The diary offered no answers, only deeper questions. Who was this hooded figure? Was it a figment of David's imagination, fueled by the exhaustion and loneliness of the Camino? Or did it represent something far more ancient and sinister? News of David's disappearance spread like wildfire through the community of pilgrims. The Camino, once a source of comfort and camaraderie, took on a sinister air. Whispers followed every rustle of leaves, every shadow that stretched across the path.
The pilgrims, hardened by miles of solitary walking, spoke in hushed tones of strange happenings near the ancient Celtic altar. Cold spots, sudden gusts of wind that seemed to whisper names, and fleeting visions of shadowy figures moving among the trees.
One woman, Maria, claimed to have encountered an old man near the spot where David's diary was found. He spoke of the Camino as a place where the veil between worlds was thin, where the past reached out to touch the present. He vanished before her eyes, leaving only the echo of his words and the scent of damp earth. Fear, potent and contagious, began to infect the hearts of even the most devout pilgrims. The Camino, once a symbol of faith and perseverance, now seemed like a gateway to an unknown and terrifying realm. The official investigation, hampered by the lack of concrete evidence, eventually went cold. David's disappearance, like the ones before, remained an unsolved mystery, a shadow stretching across the sun-drenched paths of the Camino. But the questions lingered. What had happened to David? Had he simply gotten lost, fallen victim to the elements, or been the victim of foul play? Or had he, as some whispered, stumbled upon a place where ancient forces held sway, a place where logic and reason had no power? The silence of the missing was the most deafening sound of all. It echoed through the years, a constant reminder of the mysteries that lay beneath the surface of our world. A reminder that even on the most well-traveled paths, there are shadows where darkness dwells. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months. Seasons changed, painting the Camino in shades of gold and crimson. Yet the mystery of David's disappearance lingered. One autumn afternoon, a local shepherd stumbled upon something strange. A small, leather-bound book, David's journal. He flipped through the pages, his eyes scanning the hurried writing. The last entry, a sketch of the hooded figure. A shiver ran down his spine, and he quickly closed the book. He had heard the whispers, the stories of strange lights, stories he had always dismissed as folklore. But now, he felt a chilling certainty. Something dark and ancient was at work in this place. News of the diary's reappearance spread through the nearby towns like wildfire. Some dismissed it as a cruel joke, but others listened with a growing sense of dread. Pilar came forward with a chilling story. She had been walking the Camino alone, enveloped in a thick fog. As she passed by the ancient altar, she felt a cold hand grab her arm. She came face to face with a figure shrouded in shadows. Two piercing eyes stared deep into her soul. Terror froze her in place. Pilar's story, so similar to the drawing in David's diary, unleashed a storm of speculation and fear. The disappearances could no longer be dismissed as mere accidents or the work of earthly predators. Something else was at play, something ancient and evil. More witnesses came forward, pilgrims who had remained silent for fear of ridicule. They spoke of strange lights, disembodied voices whispering their names, and fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures that vanished into thin air. A shared terror united them, a chilling confirmation that they had witnessed something inexplicable. The Camino, once a symbol of hope and spiritual renewal, had become a place of fear and dread. The ancient paths, once traveled by saints and sinners alike, now seemed haunted by an unseen presence. A presence that watched from the shadows, waiting to claim its next victim. The ancient Celtic altar, once a place of worship, now stood as a silent testament to the darkness that had descended upon the Camino. The locals whispered of sacrifices under the moonlight, of ancient beings appeased with offerings of blood. The legends, passed down through generations, spoke of a time when the veil between worlds was thin, a time when the lines between the living and the dead were blurred. Some whispered that the altar was a gateway, a portal to a realm beyond human comprehension. The Camino, a path full of history, has seen countless journeys over the centuries. Pilgrims, looking for comfort or forgiveness, have walked these ancient paths for generations. But what if their footsteps awaken something dark and ancient? What if the very act of walking the Camino stirs the shadows that lurk at its edges? The stones themselves seem to whisper of forgotten rituals, sacrifices made in the name of long-dead gods. The wind, sighing through the trees, carries the echoes of ancient chants and the cries of those who have been claimed by the darkness. The Camino, once a source of comfort and spiritual renewal, had become a place of unsettling energy. The air itself felt heavy, filled with an unseen power that sent chills down even the most experienced travelers. It was as if the path itself were a living thing, aware of those who walked it, and those who lingered too long, those who strayed too far from the beaten path, risked awakening something ancient and evil. The disappearances continued, each one adding fuel to the fire of fear and speculation. The authorities, baffled and frustrated, couldn't find a logical explanation for the disappearances. No trace of violence, no signs of struggle, no bodies. The locals, however, had their own theories.
Some whispered about a creature that lurked on the Camino, a shape-shifting entity that could lure unsuspecting pilgrims to their doom. Others spoke of a curse, an ancient retribution for sins committed against the old gods.
But the most persistent rumor, the one that made even the most skeptical's hair stand on end, was that of the Guardian. An invisible entity, they said, that guarded the portal to the other realm, a being of immense power that could choose who entered and who remained trapped forever in the shadows. The Guardian, they whispered, was drawn to the lost, to those who sought something more than the physical journey of the Camino, those who were vulnerable, with hearts open to the mysteries of the universe. And once the Guardian chose its victim, there was no escape. The logical mind, trained to seek order in chaos, searched for explanations based on the tangible. Could the disappearances be attributed to disorientation? The treacherous terrain, shrouded in mist and often poorly marked, could easily disorient even the most experienced hiker. Perhaps, some suggested, those who vanished had simply gotten lost, succumbing to the elements in remote areas where their bodies had not been found. The harsh realities of nature, after all, did not account for human frailty. But these explanations, while plausible, did little to calm the unease that had gripped the Camino. The high number of disappearances, the lack of any trace in some cases, and the chilling consistency of witness accounts pointed to something more than just misfortune. The human mind, wired to seek patterns and meaning, struggled to reconcile the inexplicable. In the absence of concrete answers, imagination took root, weaving tales that blurred the lines between reality and nightmare. The ancient Celts, with their deep connection to the natural world, believed in the existence of thin places. Places where the veil between this world and the other world was easily breached. Places where the boundaries of time and space became fluid, and the spirits of the dead could walk among the living. Was the Camino, with its history steeped in spirituality and sacrifice, such a place? Had the footsteps of countless pilgrims, their prayers and hopes echoing through the centuries, worn thin the fabric of reality? Official investigations, hampered by a lack of solid evidence, provided few answers. The disappearances remained unsolved, classified as cold cases, the files gathering dust in police archives. The families of the missing were left with more questions than answers, their grief compounded by agonizing uncertainty. Some clung to the hope that their loved ones were still alive, perhaps suffering from amnesia or living on the fringes of society, their memories of the Camino lost in the mists of time. Others, resigned to the worst, found a measure of solace in the belief that their loved ones had found peace, their souls absorbed into the spiritual heart of the Camino. But for many, the lack of closure was a wound that refused to heal. They continued to search for answers, retracing the steps of their loved ones, seeking solace in the shared grief of other families shattered by the mysteries of the Camino. The Camino de Santiago, a path of pilgrimage and spiritual awakening, held a darkness in its heart. A darkness that defied explanation, a mystery whispered on the wind, rustling the leaves of ancient trees and sending shivers down the spines of weary travelers. Was there a rational explanation for the disappearances? Or did something older and more sinister lurk in the shadows of the Camino, preying on the vulnerable, the lost, the seekers who dared to venture too close to the edge of the unknown? The question lingered, unanswered, a chilling reminder that even on the most well-trodden paths, there are secrets that remain hidden, mysteries that defy our understanding. And the Camino, for all its beauty and spiritual allure, held a truth as alluring as it was terrifying. Some journeys, once begun, have no end. The Camino de Santiago, a road of contradictions, a journey of faith and doubt, of comfort and fear, of light and shadow. It attracts travelers from all over the world, promising them spiritual renewal, self-discovery, and a connection to something bigger than themselves. However, as we have seen, this ancient road also harbors a darker side, a history recorded in mystery, where the line between myth and reality blurs like the edges of a dream, a place where the earth whispers secrets in forgotten languages, and the shadows seem to hold their breath, watching, waiting. The disappearances, the strange events, the chilling stories passed down from generation to generation remind us that some mysteries may forever elude our grasp, that there are forces in this world, ancient and powerful, that defy our attempts at explanation. We are left then, not with answers, but with unanswered questions. Questions that echo in the silence of the missing, in the whisper of leaves in ancient forests, in the very stones that pave this sacred path. What became of David, the young man who vanished into thin air? Was his fate a tragic accident, a cruel twist of fate, or something more sinister? Is there any truth to the whispers? Does the hooded figure, glimpsed in fleeting moments, stand guard at the threshold of another realm? We may never know for sure. The Camino, like life itself, is a journey into the unknown. It challenges us to face our fears, to acknowledge the limits of our understanding, and to embrace the mystery that lies at the heart of existence. The Camino de Santiago continues to call to pilgrims from all walks of life. Will you heed its call? Will you travel its ancient paths, seeking solace, adventure, or perhaps a glimpse of the unknown? If you choose to embark on this journey, remember this. Tread carefully, for the Camino demands respect. Listen to the whispers of the wind, for they may hold secrets or warnings. And keep your eyes open, for the shadows are deep, and not all who wander are lost or alone. Until next time, may your journey be filled with wonder and caution.